Hello and welcome back to the Time podcast. After speaking to Richard Taylor last week about networking, the future of networking, and a lot more, I thought I would love to explore that topic a little bit more and learn about very specialized networking groups. So, no one else than Meg Salter, the co founder of Recruitable Hub and also the managing director of Aurelian Training and Consulting, came to mind. So, I've reached out to Meg and she has agreed to talk to me about networking and specialized networking groups. I can't wait what the wonderful Meg has to say, so please give a very warm welcome to Meg Salter. Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of our Time podcast. Meg Salter, welcome back on the show. Thanks for spending time with me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be back. Our last conversation was so fun, Timo. So this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And I really appreciate that you joined again, because the first time you joined, everything was just in the baby shoes. And since then, obviously, lots has happened. We're using the software. We talk about different things. We have more time to talk. That is especially important. And we're actually more busy because we're out of lockdown. So thanks for your time to start with. Ming, I just want to go back in your career for a few years with your knowledge from today, because everyone got wiser throughout the pandemic. And if you now look back at, let's say, yourself when you were, 2019, when you just joined the industry, what kind of career advice would you give to yourself now looking back?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I was one of those. I did actually join when I was 20 or 21. I joined a flight centre, and I was studying full time. I was doing a combined degree, so I was already studying a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Asian Studies. But like most people who fall into the industry, I just wanted to travel. I just wanted to talk about travel. I wanted to be on planes. I wanted to be finding out other places I could go. And so I was one of those really enthusiastic people who, my manager at the time, Jane Pearson, actually, she's still around in the industry, but she was, she'd have to take me out for one-on-ones and tell me to calm down and be less annoying. So I was already a bit of an enthusiast, but I think the beautiful thing about the travel industry is the connectedness and the networks that you make. And, a lot of my best friends now are still, they are people that I met in the travel industry. And a lot of my support crew are people that I've worked with either as colleagues or they've been my clients or whatever. So, my advice early on was stop being so nervous. People are people are people, and there's so many people that are going to want to help you be successful in this industry, that it's really important to work out who you want to meet, go after them, like really make sure that you do go out of your way to connect with the people that you're interested in and that you do want to sort of mentor you. And just really know that everyone that you do connect with is really going to have your back. I've always said in the industry, you might not like everyone that you meet in the travel industry, but you're going to find them absolutely fascinating. So it's a brilliant place to really sort of launch a career and practice your networking.
I just want to quickly go back to when you said, stop being nervous, it's just people. Funnily enough, especially at a career starter level, people are nervous when they come to networking functions or even at a later stage in their career. If you go to a new group for the first time and you potentially know no one, there's still nervousness around. Do you have any tips how to overcome that, especially for our current mentees, for example, who are exposed obviously to networking on a regular basis?
Listen, there's a lot of things you can do physiologically before you actually get into a networking environment. So, the whole deep breaths, but there's also just simple things like looking up. So if you're feeling really nervous, before you go, just make sure you prep yourself so that you do actually sort of get into a state of confidence. So, be upright, look up, have, really deep breaths and breathe through your nose as well, because there's a gland at the top that actually helps you relax, which is why they make you do that in yoga, make you breathe through your nose. So, all of those sort of things are really going to prep you, but also just make sure that you've got an attitude for networking. So it's you don't want to go to a networking event and be in your comfort zone. I think that sort of safety zone, which is actually it's just around the bar area, is where a lot of the new people sort of tend to hang. So they sort of arrive and then they don't want to sort of go too far into the room. I actually find when I go to networking, there tends to be almost three bands of different sort of people, and there's all the new people and the nervous people sort of here who they're not going to make the most of their networking. Um, and then there's kind of the people who do really want to make the most of this event, and they kind of move further into the rooms. They kind of move through to what I call the B zone, and that's where a lot of the sort of business card sort of sharing kind of happens. And, lots of handshakes if we're allowed to do that now. Lots of, important connections. And that's probably where you'll find someone who, will coach you or mentor you or you'll know for the rest of your career. The people in the C zone, just so you know, sort of right up towards the end of the room, they're all the head honchos. So if you're after hitting up a head honcho, they're the guys who head all the way up the back and kind of hang out on the couches or something, probably doing the more high level business deals. But that's, you've kind of really got to make sure that you move into the room and you do move around the room. So that's really important.
That's a very interesting aspect. I never thought about within a room what kind of type or what kind of networking type is where in the room, but there was a very good breakdown. I actually would agree with that probably. So once you walk into the room, how do you actually break the ice?
I think it's really important to make sure that you've just got a couple of things, like universal things that you could say to anyone that might get the ball rolling, and a little bit of an elevator pitch about yourself as well. So it's kind of awkward when you go up to someone and you've got your drink in this hand and they want to shake it and you're like, oh, hi, I'm Meg, But if you're really prepared with a couple of sentences, so hi, I'm Meg Salter. I've started at Woden Flight Centre is where I started. I'm still studying, but I'm loving the industry, and I'm really looking to connect with as many people as I can. Where are you, and how long have you been in the industry? So I think sort of having a couple of questions and really taking control of the conversation will definitely engage a lot more people in conversation. And, no one's going to brush you off anyway. And if they do, you don't want to network with those people. So just let them go. So it's just remember that, you're there and you're there for you. You're not there to sort of just be a room filler and have the house wine. So make the most of it.
I think part of your elevator pitch is probably also your very successful travel industry women group that is, I think, predominantly active on Facebook. Now, Meg, what was your intention when you founded that group?
So I didn't found the group, actually. I was invited in. I've just been probably the loosest and the most visible sort of in the group when things have probably gone wrong or gone down. But the group was actually founded by Maxine Wiggs. We'd been talking about, women in travel for a long time. But Maxine Wiggs from Resource was one who started it. And she sort of, she got Ange Middleton on board. And Mel Chapman and then myself as well to sort of help her out. But, the conversations used to be, she was doing a lot of work with, maybe sort of women in construction, and I do a lot of work in equity and diversity with organisations like the ANU. And so, we'd sort of just bounce ideas around and, women in leadership and the confidence gap and the pay gap and we tend to have a few wines, a few bottles of wine, and sort of start to bounce ideas around how to get more women in leadership. And at one stage she was on Facebook, and she's a member of a group. I'm a member of a group as well called Women in Tourism, so the WIT group. And she was like, you know what, we should just bloody start up a travel industry women's group and see what happens. So there was no intent, there's no goal, it's not monetized, there's sort of no agenda with this other than support. But she started up the group, and I think within about 15 minutes she had 350 people sign up. Then, I think within the first week there are 1,000 members, and now we've got more than 7,500 members globally. But there was sort of agent chatter, so we had to pull the agents out. So there's also a Travel Industry Women Agents page where only agents can join. We have to be very careful about that. We've now, since COVID hit, got a Travel Industry Women Careers and Resources page as well, where anyone who just needs to work out, got transferable skills or how to write a resume, what jobs are going out of the industry. Lots of jobs being posted now in the industry as well, which is so exciting. But we put it out there, or she put it out there, and it took off. So, in terms of why we did it, it was really a bit of a test, and I think the thing that's come out of it is women love it. Women do actually need it, and women do find it a really safe space.
So you said women actually need it. Why do you think a gender specialized career group is needed? I should probably say a gender specialized profession group.
So women feel safer quite often when there's just women, and I know that is a bit of an odd thing to say, and I also know that the women who are watching this will go, yeah, and the men who are watching this probably go, no, I need to know more about that. But there's all these statistics, and I've been training for a long, long time as well. So in conferences and small group workshops, a lot of the statistics I read in this space, I've actually seen in practice as well. So there's a whole host of things like, in any group, virtual or face-to-face, in any group, if a male comments first, if a male makes the first comment or asks the first question, women are only likely to participate and contribute to about 10% of the conversation. And this goes from boardroom table right through to massive sort of conference groups as well. However, if it's a woman that asks the first question or makes the first comment, we get a much more even split. So we get a much more 50% participation. Men tend to comment and share their experiences during workshops and conferences and in Facebook groups and networking groups as well. Women tend to ask questions and support. Women tend to be a little bit more sort of forgiving and, hey, you could try this, more suggestions based. Males can be a little bit more, this is what I did and it worked and it's what you should do. So, I have found that this space has been, it has been a really incredible space. And I think that by opening it up to both genders, it would actually change the dynamics. And but there's so many different Facebook groups out there that are doing some incredible stuff as well. This is just sort of one that sits there. It has been incredibly successful, but there's been a lot of others also, and a lot of men are actually at the helm of them. They're running those. Anyway, I feel really strongly about the gender thing. I've got a daughter and a son, and I want them to have the same experience. And I am, very aware that, I'm a member of Business Chicks, and if my daughter wanted to, join Business Chicks, it wouldn't be weird. But if my son wanted to join Business Blokes, I'd probably be like, oh, what are you going to get out of that, So I do understand where this is coming from, but it is very, very different when there are just women in a room. And it creates a particular culture and a particular atmosphere that I think is quite precious and special. And it certainly has been during COVID.
Mm-hmm. Whenever I talk to guys, obviously there's a bit of sarcastic, funny sentiment. Even women in travel is it's exclusive to men. It's not up to the zeitgeist we have in these days. We're all equal. We all should be together. I guess I understand where you're coming from, and you kind of said you also understand that some people think it's a bit different. Let's just leave it as neutral as possible. I find it interesting the observation around. And again, I've never read any studies in regards to that. What happens if a male makes the first comment and then the female? Um, I observed that in the future actually a little bit more to see what my own experience is there, and I'm probably the generation already where I grew up where we don't even think about huge difference between the genders. Um, Probably because my parents were very progressive in regards to that. Yeah, interesting. But let's leave gender aside. I think we definitely all agree that a functioning network is absolutely important to your career and to being part of the industry. Now, COVID has obviously done a lot to our existing networks in regards to some positions are not there anymore. People have moved on. People suddenly do several roles together and just, don't do the same functionalities anymore. How can we reconnect and make networks functioning again? Do we have any suggestions?
Do you know, it's probably a little bit the same advice that I would give to my 20-year-old self or someone
Mm.
entering the industry. And that is that you really need to take control and be proactive over your connections. There are some amazing networks. There are some amazing people, and they're all. I've never seen the industry this close actually. So now is the time to really make sure that you do sort of reach out to the people that you do want to be connected with. But even proactively just setting up your own networks. Like I know, there'll be a lot of agents who they'll kind of be choosing a niche, or they might, choose to be an expert in a particular field. And I think that it would be a great idea for all of those guys to really start to build their own networks. And obviously, it only takes one person to be proactive, like Max with Travel Industry Women, to really sort of build an incredible network. But I think that, this is a time when it's really important to work out who and where these connections are, and to really go after them. In the industry, there are some brilliant networking opportunities as well. I think, time is definitely one of them. And I know a lot of people who are really jumping on board because they want to be mentors this year. I think Ange Middleton and Max, both from, Travel Industry Women admin, are both mentors this year. And I think that there's just a lot of people now who are really willing to sort of get rid of the hierarchy, actually, and get rid of the competition. I think, that's one thing we've certainly noticed in Travel Industry Women is, someone from a new person from a hello world who was struggling, put something up, and then someone from Flight Centre head office, got on the phone and actually helped them through it. And I think there's going to be a lot more of that sort of stuff as we get back together. So just make sure that you throw yourself into everything. Never let nerves get in the way. Then, by the same token, keep in touch with your networks who have left the industry as well, because they're going to be looking for people to do business with as well, and connections within the industry as things open up. And so there's a huge opportunity there as well to really grow our networks outside of the industry as well as inside. So there's never been a better time to be reaching out to people saying, I want to be connected with you.
I agree. I think the time is definitely very special, and there's so much opportunity in there. And I also regularly catch up with people who just, actually a lot of women who are part of your networking group, who have left the industry, or we're still constantly in contact. And I really appreciate, and I also agree that the pandemic has probably magnified the support within the industry. So much willingness, to get us all through as an industry, not just as a company. It's actually very inspirational. And your work around, the many things that you do, helping career starters, helping people who look for jobs, having networking groups, very successful networking groups, obviously. That is just amazing and a huge asset to the industry. So let me also thank you for your work at this stage. Always good to hear that as well.
Oh,
No, very well deserved.
thank you for saying that. But I just I love the industry and I love the people in it, and I just really feel like there were so many people on the edge and there were so many people in distress, but it wasn't just me. I mean, I kind of became well known on the travel industry women stuff because I was doing a little section called Getting Swiggy with It, which is where I'd go into my garden in the dark with a beanie on and drink from a bottle of wine and just talk to the group about all of the issues that we were dealing with. But, behind the scenes, we were on the phone to people who were overtly angry, feeling, clearly in distress, might be drinking too much. We're thinking of packing it in. And I just think that sort of camaraderie and, that support, certainly everyone was involved in it. It was not just one voice, I don't think, coming from the industry. Every single person, right from Screw to, someone who was just new before the pandemic, everyone was enveloping people in care and support. So it's been wonderful to be a part of that, to be honest, and just, I've got so much out of it as well in terms of love and support and care, and it's really beautiful. So it's brought out the best in the industry, I would say.
That's great to hear. I think being part of a community obviously is inspirational. It energizes as well, obviously, if you're actively involved. But also important to sometimes just take an hour aside or do something just for yourself. So that brings me obviously to my famous last question of all interviews. Something for $100 or less that you've bought for yourself that had the most impact, positive impact, obviously, on your life.
Gosh, $100 or less. I haven't bought anything really for $100 or less for ages because I'm renovating my house. But something that I bought for much more than $100, which has brought me pure joy, is this very expensive, massive bathtub. And it's in my ensuite. It's not even in the main bathroom because kids are grubs. And if I'm going to be cleaning anyone's muck, it's going to be my own. But when I feel overwhelmed and when things have gotten a bit too much, I magnesium the crap out of it and I go and sit in that bathtub with some nice music on. And I think that self-care, has been really important for me going through this period. And I think for everyone and for the next few years as well, it's going to be a bit of a bumpy takeoff, I think, a bit of turbulence as the borders open and things start up again. But I think that, just taking time aside and working out what you can't cope with and being okay with that is going to be so incredibly important. So spend more than $100 and get a beautiful bath. Highly recommend it.
Spend a bit more and get a proper bathtub. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Meg, thank you so much for your time already at the end of the interview. I think it was very insightful, and please keep doing what you're doing. The industry needs people like you and the others that are involved in the many, many networking groups. And I just want to finish this up with saying I appreciate every networking group, no matter of gender-based, nationality-based, or I don't know, there's a little facet for everyone anyways. So hopefully.
I think as long as people are staying connected, it's really, really important. And I think as soon as people stop I'm more than happy to talk about issues about connectedness, but I'm really concerned about when people are disconnected. And so who cares what their gender is? Who cares what they do? How long they've been around? Let's just make sure that we wrap our arms around everyone and keep them close.
As long as we can have a drink at the next networking event, right?
I'm going to bring my bottle of wine next time you interview me. I'll do it properly. I'll get swiggy with it.
Sounds good. Awesome. Well, I hope I see you in person very soon. Let me know when you come to Sydney, or I'll let you know when I come up to Canberra, and then we can catch up in person.
Oh, I'd love that. Thanks so much for having me again, and thanks for all you do as well. Time's incredible, and it's really, really important. So, it's brilliant to be here, and it's brilliant to be part of your gang as well.
Thank you so much. Bye, Meg.
Bye.